All right. So it looks like this is the end of the game. Before anything else, I want to emphasize that in my opinion this game is much better than the reviews I read before playing it. When I started, I was expecting something more like a puzzle style tactical game where every fight has a very specific correct solution. But that's not really what I experienced. Even though I played the entire game on hard difficulty, I quickly realized that with careful planning, I could approach most situations however I wanted. Sometimes I played aggressively, sometimes I retreated and repositioned, sometimes I waited and lured the enemies into better positions. And that's exactly what I want from a tactical turn based game. The feeling that I'm in control, not that I'm trying to solve a pre designed puzzle. Maybe things change on nightmare difficulty, I don't know. Or if someone is trying to speedrun the missions. But in my case, by taking my time and planning every move carefully, I always felt like I was the one at the steering wheel. There was only one mission, and I won't spoil which one, where I got completely surrounded and overwhelmed. And in that case, I just decided to finish the main objective instead of going for all the side goals. That's all. And also in the final mission, I actually managed to defeat the final boss in a very particular way, the way I wanted, by dedicating that victory to one of my, let's just say, special companions. One thing I really liked about this game is the Bravado system. It's a very original mechanic, and honestly, one of the things that really makes the game stand out from other tactical games. Normally, in turn based tactical games, you move your characters, take your shots, and then wait for the enemy turn. But the Bravado system changes that rhythm completely. If you eliminate an enemy, that character immediately gets another action, which means every move you make can potentially create an opportunity for another move. So instead of thinking about just one action, one turn, you start thinking several steps ahead. You might take out one enemy, use the extra action to reposition, then take another shot, and suddenly your whole turn becomes much more dynamic. What I really like is that it doesn't feel scripted. It's not about finding the one correct sequence. It's about recognizing opportunities as they appear and taking advantage of them. And when things come together, it feels really satisfying because it comes from positioning, timing, and good decisions in the moment. And when they don't, because it doesn't always, you can always prepare for the next turn. For me, personally, this mechanic was one of the highlights of the whole game, and I really liked it. I also really enjoyed the world itself, the exploration, the small story events, and especially the conversations with companions at camp. Listening to their stories made the game feel like more than just a sequence of fights. It gave the world some depth, which I appreciated a lot. As for companions, my favorites were Laughing Deer, Flynn, Jin, and Klalish. Bill probably has my favorite story, but in my playthrough, both him and Lazarus felt like the weakest companions gameplays-wise. Laughing Deer, on the other hand, phew, he's incredible. Honestly, he's borderline OP. When it comes to difficulty, the fights didn't feel particularly hard to me. I've definitely played games that were more difficult than this, and maybe this is because I tend to take my time and think through several options before committing to a move. I didn't always make the perfect choice though, but considering that I never actually lost a fight and only had companions die maybe 3 or 4 times during the battles, things went pretty smoothly overall. Would that still be true on Nightmare difficulty? Probably not, but based on what I've read, but that difficulty might also be the point where the fun starts turning into frustration. So for me personally, hard difficulty felt like the sweet spot. Technically speaking, the game was very stable. I encountered a few small bugs, but nothing game breaking. The camera and controls sometimes behaved a little strangely, but after a while I got used to them. Graphically, the game looks good, nothing revolutionary, but it fits the style perfectly. It's just enough. The same goes for the sound and music, solid and appropriate for the setting. The game also didn't feel very long. I finished it in a little over 25 hours, and that was with an almost completionist approach and taking my time during fights. As for replayability, unless you want to try a higher difficulty, I'm not sure there is a huge reason to replay it, especially if you already explored most of what the game has to offer. I'm still a bit curious about those fifth of a kind cars though. I never managed to find them. Another thing the game maybe could have used is a bit more enemy variety. The enemies that exist are well designed, but after a while you start to predict what each type is about to do most of the times. So overall, if I had to rate the game from 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 7.5, maybe even an 8, and mostly because of the limited replayability, the enemy variety, and some small issues with the controls and camera. But even with those things, this is still a very fun game with some genuinely original mechanics, and I had a great time playing it. And I hope you enjoyed watching the playthrough as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the game in the comments. I'm curious what difficulty you played on, and also what do you think about the Bravado system. And if you enjoyed the series, feel free to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and helps these videos reach more people. But until next time, thank you for watching, stay safe, take care, and bye bye.